What up, Doc?
My whole body feels so soft. I couldn't be mad at anybody if I tried. It's a total peace drug. My eyes keep fluttering and your vision gets kind of blurry, but it's neat. You can't really think, as you can tell. What was I talking about again? People get the wrong impression about ecstasy, that it's like some big orgy drug. Yeah. Do I look like I'm ready to have an orgy?
Happiness in a pill. That sums up the lure of ecstasy, or MDMA as chemists call it. Never has the drug been more popular. In just 1 year, seizures of ecstasy coming into the U.S. increased tenfold, from 1.2 million tablets in 1998 to 12.1 million in 1999. The pill's enthusiasts say ecstasy replaces anxiety with pleasure, in effect acting as an instant antidepressant on a communal level.
I feel, for once in my entire life, I feel like I am the popular kid. I come to a rave and everybody seems to like want to know me. All it does is make you bond with people and become friends. How could that be bad?
Would you be here if you weren't on E? You would.
Actually, I would.
You could come and rave and be up all night and not be on E.
Yeah, I've already done it many a times. I actually wrote a list. I took an hour and a half and wrote a list down of the negatives of doing E and the positives of doing E. And you know what? The positives came out. The positives outweigh the negatives.
Until, you know what, you have a bad experience.
A conversation at a rave hits upon the debate surrounding ecstasy. Is it the deadly drug that the Drug Enforcement Administration insists that it is? Or is it a harmless, life-affirming substance that may even be therapeutic? In 1998, emergency rooms around the country voluntarily reported 1,142 visits related to ecstasy use. Compare that with the number of reported emergency room visits for marijuana or hashish, some 76,000. Ecstasy reportedly is also less addictive than both cigarettes or alcohol, but that's not the whole story.
The notion that ecstasy is safe because it's not addicting, I think, is an illusion, because it has all these other side effects and problems that are associated with it. When people are on ecstasy, their body temperature goes up, and a lot of people become dehydrated, and as a result, they die. People who use ecstasy are more likely to be depressed. And in fact, some of the people I interview say that when they take ecstasy, it's the only time they feel normal.
Some scientists argue that ecstasy can permanently destroy receptors in the brain that release serotonin, a chemical believed to be related to mood, potentially resulting in memory loss and chronic depression.
People could develop psychosis and delusions. A lot of the problem with ecstasy is a new drug in some ways, so we still don't know what the long-term effects may be.
It's one big love party is what it is. It's like year 2000 hippies, the way I look at it.
The trippy expressions and the devotion to expanding your mind. It's sometimes hard to tell the difference between 70s acid heads and millennium rollers.
It just lends you into a certain state of mind that's really pleasant.
It's the best feeling. Actually, I'm tripping out with your light right now.
And like many illicit substances, both LSD and ecstasy often produce the same result: media hysteria.
Well, I can always remember the anti-drug class in 6th grade. What was the video they showed you when trying to scare you away from LSD?
The unfortunate person who gets started in this finds himself getting into an ever-increasing abyss.
They grew wings and they jumped out of a high window.
Get an ambulance. Call a doctor quickly.
Though today's reports on ecstasy may be a tad more sophisticated, many still rely on scare tactics.
It can kill you. It's ecstasy, and it's the drug of choice at rave parties.
Steve, a successful software architect, bought his own home in San Francisco at age 25.
My own personal experience with ecstasy is that I've never done it. It's not something that's necessarily interesting for me to try, although I do believe in people's right to try it safely. My experience has been spending time with close friends who are using ecstasy and kind of participating in the contact high.
Actually getting eye wiggles off this. This is a pretty strong pill. I'm getting jaw stuff too. I didn't even notice it.
Your fingers also.
Yeah. Oh, my finger.
Yeah,
fidgety.
a friend of mine once said that the internet today, as we know it, was built by ravers taking ecstasy.
Ecstasy opens up people's minds to ideas that they wouldn't have thought of normally, and that definitely correlates to career success, especially for people who have any kind of leanings towards being an entrepreneur. The best way to come up with new ideas is to find new inspiration, and if you happen to find those by digging through the deep, dark corners of where your brain is, if that takes psychedelics, that takes psychedelics.
There's two kinds of extremely important information that people should know about the drugs they're taking. And number one is what the drug's going to do to their body and how to reduce whatever damages could come out of that. And two, knowing what is in that damn little pill you buy on the black market that is called ecstasy.
Seth and Sophia test their pills with a kit they ordered from DanceSafe, a nonprofit harm reduction organization based in Oakland, California. Although the kits cannot determine the potency or the purity of a pill, it can, through a chemical reaction and pamphlet guidelines, tell you if a dangerous adulterant has been added.
What's this for? It's an adulterant screening test for ecstasy. You can tell if, it actually is MDMA or if there's speed or LSD or, anything else in there.
Police have granted us amnesty, agreeing not to arrest users who approach the table to get their pills tested. So these are all legal. Fake ecstasy tablets. Do you see these over here, these green triangles? Those were the pills that were sending most people to the hospital last fall. We got reports of those green triangles from almost every major city in the United States. They contain no MDMA, but high doses of DXM, a cough suppressant that in high doses prevents perspiration. And the biggest danger of raving is overheating. Most of these medical emergencies and most of the deaths that have resulted from raves have resulted from overheating. A lot of people are novelty seekers by nature, and they will take the risks, great risks, in order to experiment with various substances. And as long as that's the case, we feel there's a need to provide health and safety information. Some users have thought, because of the drink water motto, that water is an antidote for a bad ecstasy experience. And that's not true. Water won't bring you down from an ecstasy experience. It will only rehydrate you. And so now the standard line is drink water, but not too much water. I've tested personally 600-700 pills for people. I have never seen anyone consume a tablet after I told them it did not contain ecstasy.
My funding of DanceSafe is sometimes controversial. I feel the bottom line is I am saving lives. And also, I think the message is not that ecstasy is safe, but that ecstasy is risky. I think many people just take it, kind of for fun, and then they suddenly learn from DanceSafe, oh, there are definite risks.
Of course, it's always unfortunate to see the people that can't handle it. But of course I can recognize it as almost a rite of passage. That's how you discover your boundaries. I'm sure almost everybody on this continent has had a couple nights where staring into a toilet they swore off alcohol for the rest of their lives. And I think it's about the same thing. This once in a while, particularly as you're young and you're growing up, you have to cross a boundary in order to find out where that boundary is.
Some old-school ravers feel that their scene has become blurred due to the current hysteria over ecstasy, a hysteria that has turned the once small underground scene into profit-reaping massives, which some believe is more about the drugs than the music or the culture.
Everyone wants to do E now because they think it's like just this cool, it's the stupidest drug.
They think rave equals drugs because that's what the news tells them. They're basically wannabe ravers. They don't want to go and share the culture. They don't want to add to the culture. They just want to get really f***ed up.
Little girls wearing tiny shirts makes me vomit. Anyone in orange makes me vomit. Anyone wearing candy joints makes me vomit. Anyone in fuzzy clothes makes me vomit.
Hopefully, it will go back underground like it was a couple of years ago. That's what I'm looking forward to now. Screw massives, massive suck. Yeah. Because they bring a crowd that isn't responsible. It brings out the little 13, 14-year-old cheerleader girls who are like oh my God, let's go to this rave party and do ecstasy because it's really fun.
Anything that you wear to make love the flesh. No, there's a list of raver etiquette. Okay, first of all, do not carry those red flashing things around and wave them in people's face. You look so stupid. And then, don't dance with glow sticks. You look even stupider. Do not bring visors and put like vapor rub in it and put it over your face. You're an idiot. And then, don't do this. Don't come up to people and go like this. Don't.
If you can't go to a rave and enjoy it sober, then you probably shouldn't be raving. If you have to go and roll and do drugs, then you shouldn't be in the scene because you're not about the music, you're not about the people.
Well said. If you have to go somewhere to do drugs, you're just lame. If you have to do drugs, you're just lame. Exactly. Yeah, we have, and we learned from it. Hell yeah. Can't you tell that we're completely